Scotland forever.
Hello there, what's your name?
Scotty McScottface. I want to kill tonight. Go to sleep with my bagpipe. God, if the world was just run by stereotypes, like, can you imagine? Like, I just go to sleep with a math textbook and a calculator, like, and I don't know, and a stethoscope. Yeah, like that's how like Asian I am. Like if the world was run by stereotypes, like you would go to sleep with a Cuban cigar in your mouth before you go to bed, and a Cuban sandwich, all wrapped up and nice, right next to you, on your bedside, ready for when you're up in the morning, just to have a quick breakfast right there, ready for you. And then Americans just have McDonald's like right next to their fucking, you know.
Oh, I know who
bedside.
You are, Randy Feltface. Or should I say, Randy Fuckface.
Now I likes you, and I wants you. Now we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. The choice is yours.
What?
And like asked to bring in the security.
I'm coming for that puppet ass. Welcome to the Double D experience.
Just like pins Randy down onto the fucking table, just bends him over, and he's like, "Oh!"
This? Take me out to dinner first.
What was Randy's co-host? I guess not co-host, but like who's his partner?
The guy he used to tour with. His name is Sammy J.
Yeah, like tell Sammy, Sammy, get him off me,
Sammy. Come on for that puppet ass.
I'm like, he's like, I think he got it all in, and then like Fleece is like, no, I didn't. I still got 4 more inches to go. That was 4. This is the other 4.
Welcome to the Double D experience. Sometimes puppets, sometimes Chris Hansen, but always guestless.
But always Fleece Johnson.
Oh, God. So what is that in relation to, as we have another one of our typical longer cold opens for the Double D experience that we got going on today? Well, I got the very fortunate privilege of meeting my favorite comic, my favorite stand-up comedian.
Yes.
I got to see and meet him in person. I'll put some pictures on screen right now for you YouTube viewers right now.
Look at that puppet ass.
Look at that puppet ass.
Just wanna fuck it.
I know who you are, Randy Feltface.
I really wish like Randy would watch our stuff like once, and then he just like hears me, like not you, he hears me like say like, I want to come for that puppet ass, and then like and he like if you were like cool enough with him, like he would like DM you on Twitter. He's just like, it's like, hey David, like I like you, but you know your co-host is a bit of a twat, isn't he? Like, he's a bit of a cunt. Like,
bit of a twat, isn't he?
Actually, no, I don't think twat is more English. I don't hear
truly the hottest Korean I've ever met in my fucking life.
I think the C word is more up Australia's alley.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Bit of a cunt, isn't he?
It is with England too. But
yeah, no, Randy. Randy you probably noticed in the picture, he, pretty defining trait about him, he is a puppet. He is from Australia. He's a puppet stand-up comic, and I know what you think. I'm not really into that. Like, some of them are kind of lame, whatever. And I agree, some of them are, and some of the puppeteering on them is really bad. I'm pretty sure Heath McIver, who is Randy Feltface, I'm pretty sure he's worked with Henson, if I'm not mistaken, like some years back. And even if that's not true, like, he's so animated in such a way, and the puppeteering is so incredible, you literally forget that that's an inanimate object. Technically, you know, you forget, and like you literally talk to him as he spoke to me when I saw him. He's doing a North American tour right now, And my parents, the story for it is that they got me this gift card to the Bananas Comedy Club in Rutherford, where we live, back as a Christmas gift. And I didn't spend it for months. And my mom was like, oh, remember you have that. Remember to spend it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I will. And I'm really glad I waited, to say the least, because Randy announced he's doing a North American tour about like a month plus ago or whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute. So like I went to go like to his website, see the list of places that he's going to. Sure enough, he came to Jersey, performing at the fucking Bananas Comedy Club there, and I was like, yo! So I'll even put this on screen. I got my fucking feet up. Like, I was literally, like, reserved seating, like, at the stage. Like, I was right in front of the dude. It was such a nice experience, and he's so funny. If you've never heard of Randy Feltface, I discovered him through YouTube. He's from Australia, like I mentioned before. You want to see, like, some really great and, frankly, underrated stand-up. Definitely check him out. He was such a joy. He ranted about snakes. What else did he do? He was like, he started his show. It was just like, I got the address of this place very confused. It says it's in Hasbrook Heights. Are we in Rutherford? The Meadowlands? Where the fuck are we, Jersey? Where the fuck are we? And you could see him. I could literally see him a little bit from behind his stage, too. And he always goes to the people that are next to him.
Yeah.
Like, who can actually see him through the thing. He'll be like, Janice, don't ruin the magic. Don't fucking ruin it. And he's famous because he does, one of the things he does is crowd work as well, which is extra special because he's like a blind comic, technically. He is the guys behind the podium. So, you know, he can't actually see the crowd when he's in there, as he snuck in behind us while I was with my buddy and we were talking to this other guy, this other couple who drove from Maryland to see him, right? Ooh. I hadn't been to a comedy club in so long, and it was so nice because I have a newfound appreciation for it as an adult, rather than my weird teenage phase where, like, I couldn't see past, like, the literal manifestation of a person standing on a stage whose goal is to make me laugh, because that, in turn, just made me laugh less, knowing this person is supposed to do that. Now as an adult, I can actually picture what they're saying and use my imagination, like, you know, way more to picture it instead. So it's no different when it comes to Randy, right? So I guess I'll conclude this real quick by talking about how he called on me and he made fun of my voice. Yeah, Randy fucking roasted me in front of the whole room for my fucking voice. And I literally told I went with Glenn Tendo. I literally told Glenn, I'm like, if he calls on me, which he very well might, because we had reserved seating, like, literally we're right in front of the stage. I had my feet up on the stage. That is how fucking close to a Mr. Randy Feltface that I was. And, I literally told him, like, if he calls on me, he's gonna make fun of my voice. I know he is, like, because everyone does. Like, I've been doing some events for Smash for VGBC as of late. There's always one fucker in there in the comments who accuses me of literally faking my voice, Dennis. It's happened to me 3 times in my fucking tenure as a Smash caster. Before I even go on here, how the fuck would I even do that? How would I even do that? Like, what do they think happens? Like, as soon as the ad breaks go up and everything, what do they think? I'll be like, oh, well, don't touch that fire stick, don't touch that mouse. We'll be right back with more hot Smash action for you in right a bit. And you're clear. Oh, thanks, Chris. Can you bring me my water? Can you pass me my water over here? My voice is getting a little dry. Like, the dude's actual words were like, I cannot believe this guy, like, is trying to make his voice sound deeper like Keith Olbermann. What do I say to that? Like, I'm sorry that my sack dropped raw at the ripe young age of 12, because that's what fucking happened. Alright? Like, I don't fake my voice. How would I even do that? But, apparently Randy thinks so, too. Because, he was talking to this couple behind me, like, about how they took an RV to get there or something like that, making jokes about RVs or whatever. And then he turns directly towards me, and he's like, hello, what's your name? I'm like, I'm David. And, when he goes like, ah! You sound like you're really close, David. You sound like you're really close to the stage. I was actually talking to the couple behind you. All of a sudden I got scared because I just hear, hi, I'm David. And then the room just erupted. And I was like, oh, man. I told him like, yeah, no, I am really close to the stage actually. I'm very tall, so like I can put my feet up on the stage, but I'm not doing that right now because I don't want to be that guy. Oh, you don't want to be that guy? Like, no, I don't want to be that guy. Truth be told, mate, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't really give a fuck because, you know, I wouldn't be able to see it. So it was a lovely show, and I got to meet him, and I just wanted to nerd out about that for a bit. I followed him. I told him I'll follow him on Instagram because I got to meet the guy, and I'm just like, I'll message him later, be like, yo, come on the Double D experience. It'll be the hottest gig you've ever had in your life, making two dipshits laugh for God knows how long. But honestly, it was just such a surreal experience because he's legit my favorite comic, and he's a puppet, which I like. I don't do puppeteering myself, but I'm starting to realize I have a pretty big appreciation for it and a bigger depreciation when it's bad puppeteering. But honestly, it was like, Dennis, imagine you met Mr. Burr.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you met Mr. Burr. How would you feel? How would you feel, Dennis? Would you be like, I'm coming for your ginger ass? I know who you are, Bill Burr. More, or should I say, Bill Fur?
Bill Purr.
Purr. Oh, that's way better.
What would I do essentially if I met Bill Burr? Like,
what would you do if you met?
What would I do? How
would you feel?
How would I feel?
Because when I met Randy, I was just fucking...
Yeah, like...
I'm so happy that I was able to get a picture with him and talk to him and stuff. I wasn't overbearing. I didn't put him on a pedestal or nothing, but I just let him know, like, I was just a big fan of his. And it was nice. It was real nice that he was taking photos. And he was taking photos when I got in there, too. So when I got to see him in person, I was like... Oh.
I'll bet.
Worship you. And I was just so grateful, you know, because, like, guys from fucking Australia. Like, when am I going to get the chance to see him again? You know what I mean? The fact that he came to Jersey, you know?
Could always take a vacay to Australia. Why not?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, why not? But I'm just saying, you know, like, it was just very convenient because the couple next to us drove from Maryland.
Yeah.
To be there and to go see him. And he picked up their tab, too, when he found out about that.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah, what a god. And
what a gangster. Holy shit.
Well, he is honestly definitely a little purple bitch. It's just like he definitely couldn't side with Crips or Bloods. He's like he had to combine the two, you know, purple. You know, purple is
the purples.
Purple is
with
hip.
The purples with the Z. It's like we the purples, and it's just like with the Z.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination.
Oh. Let's see that dinosaurs gang operation. Shout outs to old Smosh. But anyway, yeah, like I was just very grateful to see that. So if you got to meet in your words, Billy Bitch Tits, how would you feel?
I don't know, cause I never.
I feel like you two would vibe.
Maybe. At least I'd hope so. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. For me, yeah, like I never really met a celebrity like that before. I remember the closest thing that I had to, like, I guess, to a celebrity interaction, even though like it wasn't really an interaction, like, cause you know it was at a parade, and it was during like I think the Thanksgiving parade, and like Mariah Carey like was just like going down her float and everything, and I just saw her, and it was like my first time like actually seeing like a like actual celebrity like out in broad daylight.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I met Bill Burr and if I actually even like got to like talk to him for like 2 minutes, like I think at least internally it would feel kind of surreal for me, just because like, you know, the closest point of interaction that I've had with him is like through my phone screen or through like my computer screen, and like, you know, just listening to him talk like through his podcast or even obviously like his specials as well. And like obviously, yeah, being a big fan of him too, like, and guys, I know like I sound as if I'm like kind of rambling on here, but it's just like it's kind of a hard question for me to answer because like just I think initially maybe I would kind of like fangirl just a little bit inside. I'd be like, oh my fucking god, it's Bill Burr. Oh my god, oh my fucking god. Like, you know, just go like ballistic in my brain that like, holy shit, it's the man that like I find hilariously funny right in front of me, and he actually is extending a handshake, like, and and asks if he wants to take a picture, like, as well, and everything. So it's just like, yeah, it'd be a bit surreal. I will admit, and I think it's like one of those, and he's also like one of those few people that I've read that when people met him, like, he's just the same as he is on stage as he is like backstage. He's just the same old like guy. Like, he doesn't have a persona that he like tries to like put up when he's around people, whether it be in public or even like on stage. Like, he's just like that old crotchety Bostonian who now lives in California. And like, you know, he's just like the same dude that he's always been for the most part. Like he hasn't changed all that much since like when I first started listening to him into how he is now. He's just older now.
Back away from me. You dare breathe in the same air presence as me? I'm not even from Boston. I'm from Beverly Hills. Where's my soy latte?
It would be.
Bill's just a fucking character that he plays.
He's just been playing it for 20 years. Like, this is how he always talked like this. But like, you know, on stage he's like, I'm from Boston. What are you doing? Mother. Fuck your mother. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of a hard question to answer because I obviously have a lot of people that, like, you know, in the, I guess, celebrity side of things, like, that I do I guess admire and respect, but obviously I haven't really ever met them. And, you know, like, even like for sports, like a few times that I went to like a baseball game, and then plus recently a basketball game, like I think like a week ago, it was like seeing like athletes, like, you know, who, you know, like are in the news, and like, you know, people talk about them, and also like just like, what do you call it, like, they're in the public eye, but like being even like somewhat close to them is one thing, but actually talking with them obviously is another. So yeah, it's a bit of a hard question to, I guess, answer, but I guess if I was to just break it down, I think I would be very happy, same as David when he met Randy, like me seeing Bill and like me actually meeting him and like just like talking with him. And I think even just telling him that like a lot of my own like comedy, not that I'm like a stand-up or anything, but like a lot of my own comedy is kind of revolved, like kind of been inspired, like, thing from yours. And I know Bill Burr, like, really? And I know like Bill Burr, like, for the most part, is a man of a few words, even though he goes on a podcast every fucking week for an hour and talks about whatever the fuck is on his mind for, like, you know, for about an hour and a half. But like, you know, I think when he like, and he's a good talker too, believe it or not. I mean, like, people obviously, like, you know, whoever has listened to him, they know like he could speak, like, he's very good at it, and he's very also good at like telling a story as well. And I think that's like one skill that I think even Randy, Bill, whoever, like, they need to know how to do. Like, you know, you need to know how to like tell a good story. Like, you need to know how to like tell it also, if you're a comedian, in a way, like, tell it in a funny way as well, because, like, you know, that's your whole shtick. Like, that's what, you know, you get paid for, to make people laugh. So like, I have I'm not nearly as like well spoken as Bill, even though he loves to like kind of put himself down and say like, yo, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying half the time. And I don't know, like, he even says sometimes, like, I don't know why you people listen to me. It's like, you know, I'm just like a random old guy with a microphone, and like, you know, none of my words that I say right now should be taken as gospel. He's even called out people and said like, y'all are fucking idiots if you really like take all the words that I say like to heart and and take it seriously. And
if you're taking your advice from a 50-year-old man on the internet,
and it's for that,
well, that's just pretty fucking sad.
It's for that reason too. Like, I've said it before, especially with our podcast. Like, none of you should take our words seriously or to heart. Like, that one guy who like fucking had to comment. This is how I knew like this guy like really got his jimmies rustled when you like called out like the whole polyamory shit. This guy had to go out of his way to fucking type out a whole paragraph about why you're wrong. And like this goes to show you that, like, you know, why do you take our words like so seriously? Like, we're two idiots, like, approaching 30. I'm approaching 30 right now, but, like, that's the reason why, like, it's also the internet. Like, you really, like, shouldn't believe everything you hear out there, and especially to us, because we even say it flat out, like, we don't deal with facts on this show for that reason. We deal with feelings. For the most part, at least. And
yeah, but at the same time, then people become skeptical about everything and then think the dude who's casting Smash Brothers on the stream is using some sort of synthesizer to fucking modulate his voice lower.
Well, I mean,
because there's no way his fucking sack dropped.
Well, I mean,
there's no way he constantly scratches the bottom of his fucking prostate, just rolling around the goddamn sidewalk, broken little shards of glass everywhere, constantly needling me. That's how I keep my shit hairless. No, it's not. It's not true. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we just go on like little life talks. What are you gonna say right here? You're gonna tell people not to listen to you on the internet, Denise?
Yeah.
Because then they're not gonna listen to this.
No,
and as a result, they're not going to listen to that, which means they're going to listen to you further on, and it becomes like a fucking void.
You'll be surprised how often people pick and choose about what they would take with them and what they don't.
Oh,
and I think in this case, especially for us, it's like when they hear that we get serious, like they know. But when they know that we're just taking the piss and like just obviously being like two idiots, like, talking about shit that obviously more often than not we don't have no idea about, like, then they obviously know, like, okay, like, I don't have to take this too seriously. At least I like to think. The tens of you that are listening to us, like, obviously I like to think that you guys at the very least are smarter than your average podcast like listener. So, please let that be true for my sake. But yeah, like, yeah, celebrities like that, especially Bill Burr, like, I'd like to meet him, sure. Like, I'm like, sometimes every now and then I'd like to like look up like, oh, if he's ever gonna do any shows in Jersey. And I remember, I don't know if you ever heard it before, but he trashed, I think I told you, yeah, he trashed Philadelphia in this one set that he did. And he just like went off for like about 40 minutes about how Philadelphia is like a fucking shitty state, like a shitty city, and just like, just basically roasting the shit out of it, and plus everyone that lives in it. And like, I really hope like one day like New Jersey would piss him off enough that he'd like fucking go in and just say like how much like a shit state like New Jersey is. Because seeing his like hatred like that is like a real treat. And I know it's like, it's not really something that Bill likes to do, like get angry like that often anymore. Like when he was younger, he got mad like pretty easily about a lot of things. And I think obviously him older now, like, you kind of get to a certain age where it's just kind of like, like whatever. Like you just wave it off and like, it's like, oh, who gives a shit? Like
eventually you pass the age of like righteous rage. You know what I mean? You pass that eventually as you age. And I feel like that low key might even be true for some comics, unless they become so bitter and jaded at the world that like, it becomes genuine. Like, cause I don't feel that way. Like when I watch like Bill Maher. You know what I mean? Like, my dad, once in a blue moon, will watch Bill Maher, and I'll be real with you, I don't like him at all. Not even a little bit. The way his writing team writes his jokes now, he just comes off like a bitter old bastard, at the world at this point. Yeah. Rather than finding a way to spin something and make it funny, when I watch him, it literally just feels like he's doing the exact thing that he says that he claims that he hates. Having like people with like yes men who'll be like, yeah, because I'm sitting here listening to him and I'm just like, literally not a word that he has said is funny to me right now. And he's just ranting about shit that he hates, and he's not spinning it in a way that makes it sound comical. He's just going, fuck this, fuck that. And his audience like, yeah, oh my god, I'm a fucking college sorority graduate and majoring in liberal arts. I want to suck your dick so bad.
And
like,
he wasn't even always like that either. That's the thing. Like, I remember him like years back, and like, I honestly thought, I mean, I didn't really fucks with him that much, but I thought he was at least like, well, he's funny. Like, I laughed. And I think he's at that certain point in his career too, like where George Carlin was at by the time of his death, where when George was starting out, and especially if you see a lot of his earlier stuff, it's very obviously dark humor-esque, obviously, and that never really changed even like the older he got. Actually, it got even more darker, honestly, like by the time of his death. But, at least for me, there was always like this sort of like faux positivity about a lot of his stuff from his earlier days. And then when you see George Carlin, like in his older stuff by the time of his death, it's like the thoughts of an old man. like I guess if that is like, if that makes sense, like you could tell like he kind of knows that he's at his twilight years now, so it's like fuck it, like I'll just say whatever the fuck I want and I'll get away with it because I'm old. And I'm not gonna sit on here and say like that, oh, like George Carlin shouldn't say whatever the fuck he wants to say considering he's fucking George Carlin. But I think for some people, yeah, like the older they get, it's just like especially if you're a comedian, like the older you get, the material you start to even say, I almost feel as if kind of reflects the age a little bit, reflects your mood. And obviously the older you get a lot more crotchety, like bit more just pissed off just because like I'm old. And I guess Bill Maher, maybe he's just approaching that age now, like where
it just comes off cringe to me because like it might even not just be his age, it's also the fact that he is obviously a very 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 liberal man, and his show, real shit, it's not a comedy show, it's a political talk show. Let's just be fucking honest with what it actually is. It's past the point of like satire or whatever, where like the Daily Show will make a funny spin on something, on how like fucking Michael Steele or whatever his name was, Michael Steele, I think, who was the former head of the RNC or whatever, looked like a Muppet, so they made like a Muppet of him. And that's the kind of stuff that they turned it into, like something serious, made it a little silly while still maintaining, like the little message to send that sometimes what our leaders are doing is wrong. Bill Maher would literally just be like, fuck this, fuck that, this bitch is a whore, Donald Trump is a piece of shit, this and that. And like half the time when I listen to his humor, I'm just like, this is literally just an old man ranting, because where's the punchline? You know what I mean? It's like, and then when there is a punchline, you could tell it was written by some like fucking like preppy like college like fucking graduate intern,
like Sarah Silverman.
Like
Sarah Silverman was the one that was like writing his lines.
It's so basic in that way, you know what I mean? Which is another reason why I admire Randy so much and Sammy J, is because their government doesn't give a shit about that kind of stuff. They were literally calling each other dickheads on like the morning show equivalent of the fucking Australia in there. They say fuck on like when they were on the Good News World, which was like the Australian Daily Show. Yeah, they said fuck all the time. I don't even think it was censored. Like that shit wasn't Will Smith's slap, the audio from that. The reason that got spinning virally online is because that shit wasn't censored in Australia. They don't like look ahead and film ahead like the fucking FCC does with live events in America, so they can just have like an editor react in the control room to censor it, because that's how they do that. They have it play like 7 seconds ahead for the people who are in the control room, so it's not completely live. It's like 7 seconds ahead, like you would be watching a Twitch stream or something like that, so they can censor it in case some fuck shit like the Will Smith slap happens, because it's live television. You never know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, and Bill Maher just comes off like that basic like corporate fucking, let's feed the liberals what they want to hear, yes men thing. It's like, just because he's an old man, that doesn't mean I don't see him as like those basic like Instagram bitches who like, like do a bunch of horrible fucked up shit like influencers, and then just have like yes men like tell them that what they're doing is okay. Because when I listen to Bill Maher go on his rants, that's all he sounds like to me. Is his audience isn't even laughing. They're just giving him huge applause after everything he says. They're not even fucking laughing. It's like, the semi-Carlin effect, where people just go like, yeah, that's funny.
But it's like
makes a good point.
Yeah.
But it's not like
it's not like thought-provoking laughter. Yeah, it's not like thought-provoking laughter.
Exactly. And George Carlin was able to find that beautiful sweet balance between both, and he was also funny as fuck. Bill Maher does not strike that to me. He's just, because I'm just watching a pissed off old man, and I feel like my parents watch that because they're pretty liberal in that sense as well, especially, my dad. So I get that. I'm not going to judge him for watching that. But as a young guy, I'm just sick of that sort of righteous rage, especially hearing it from an old man. It's like, really, dude, you should be better than this by now, but you're not. Your girlfriend's probably like fucking 30, isn't she? That's the thing that I'm thinking of. You know what I mean? Oh, you're so edgy. You smoked weed live on a fucking... All right, now I'm going a little too far.
Smoking weed on a live podcast like isn't even cool anymore. The moment Elon Musk did it on Joe Rogan's podcast, I honestly thought like, yep, well, I guess this is not. I mean, not that it should have ever been cool to begin with, but it's just kind of like after that, nobody. I haven't seen nobody just smoke like a joint on like live on a podcast ever again after that. I don't know what happened. Maybe people just realized like, oh. Okay, I guess this is not cool no more. Like Elon Musk literally killed it. He literally killed it like, right then and there.
Dude, like, he literally killed fucking Dogecoin when he went on SNL because it's a fucking dumbass, like, hype-based market. It's so cringe, man. And I feel especially bad for women comics, considering the fact that Amy Schumer has been, like, decided by the media to be their leader.
Like the go-to female comedian. Like,
And she is awful.
you know,
I'm sorry.
I honestly thought like Sarah Silverman was like worse than her, but I have to say like she is pretty terrible. Not gonna lie. Like I think anyone who's ever even listened to Sarah's like material, I think, at least for me, I thought it was very. It wasn't really funny. Like I think honestly, like you know, a comedian comedy, in general, like if you're trying to criticize it. Yeah, if like you're trying to criticize it, like I think it all just comes down to like, did you laugh? Like once? Like did you even in your heart of hearts find whatever the fuck they found funny? And if you didn't, then it's just like that's just what I take away from it. Like if I did like, and I mean people's form of comedy is all different. And people like some people think that funny shit is funny. But I think horrific shit is funny. So therefore like I'm definitely on that little bit of a bias. So it's like, you know, you could say like the funniest shit in the world, but me seeing an old person fall down the stairs, like, yeah, that's funny to me. So, like, to each their own, I guess. But
Cancelled. Ageist. Ableist.
Ageist? There's that now too?
Ableist.
But my whole thing is, yeah, like, I think, because everyone, like, always needs a champion, right? Everyone always needs someone to kind of represent a group. Because everyone needs to always be a part of a group, too. So at least, you know, that's the thing too. Like, and part of me does kind of feel bad, like same as David, that it's. I'm pretty sure there has to be at least one funny ass like, woman comedian like female comedian out there, and I'm pretty sure there is. Like, there has to be, but like also one. I'm not actively trying to search for one. For me, it's just kind of like, oh, if I found one, like just like perusing through YouTube, like, then. You know, like I just take it as is.
I did once, but I don't remember their name. I have to look it back up again. She went on a pretty good bit about like, you know, like the kind of stuff that like women have to eat when they're on a date with somebody that they like. And she's just going the whole time. She's just like, man, I want his fucking burger so much. I just want to eat his fucking fries out here. I want the barbecue sauce on that shit.
Okay.
I'm sitting here eating a fucking salad.
Whoever that is, see there, like thing. I found that funny, but like, But the two ones that we know of the most is Amy Schumer and then Sarah Silverman.
There's also Whitney Cummings, who I also personally can't stand.
Yeah, like so the three of them, like I know who she is too. Like I don't really find them funny. And again, people would even go on to then say like, oh well, you two are just two idiots on a podcast. What the fuck? You're not an authority to decide on what's funny or not. I think. Not in the sense of the whole general space, but I think we kind of are, because at the very least, like, I'm watching your material, and if I don't find it funny, and thing is though too, people like to think, oh well, if Amy Schumer's coming on to the Oscars every fucking year, then clearly like think she must be doing something right. She is, but she's not really trying. But that whole what she's doing right is not being funny. Her whole thing is that, oh, she caters to whatever the fuck the Academy Awards like want her to do. She's conforming to that. Like
exactly, it's like she's there to be like a poster child at this point, because the media tells us she's the kind of person we should fucking find funny instead of just being there.
And she also like she's getting that bag from the Academy Awards. So I mean, like, you know, if that's her like. That's her motive. If that's her motive, then like, you know, who the fuck am I to say anything? But I'm just saying though, like, I think even like people who I remember when her stand-ups were starting to take off like on the internet, but like it was half taking off, half being trying to get shot down from the fucking sky from people, because like they just really didn't find her like genuinely like funny. And that group was like 50-50 down the middle, where like, because she was always saying like, oh, my pussy. Like she was just like,
my vagina.
Yeah, like and like people thought, and then people like I think turned it around and tried to say like, oh well, like, you know, comedians like talk about like dick jokes all the time, but the difference was that at least
dicks are ugly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know, David. I don't know. Sounded a bit of a simp right now, but
Sounding like a bit of a simp. You want to hear how much of a not simp I am? This is what Amy Schumer got fucking roasted for. She revealed that one Oscars joke that I think the Academy didn't allow her to say. She says, don't look up the name of a movie, more like don't look down the barrel of Alec Baldwin's shotgun. It's like she said like, oh, and she was like bitching because she was like, oh, I wasn't allowed to say any of that, but you could just come up and slap someone.
ooh.
Is that not the most Karen shit you've ever heard in your life?
Oh.
How did you make that about you?
Well,
The first
it's
openly
always been
black
about her.
queer woman got fucking Best Supporting Actress. That got overshadowed. Questlove won for his documentary, which was an amazing documentary about a very untalked topic during the civil rights movement. That got fucking overshadowed by Will slapping a motherfucker. The first deaf guy won Best Supporting Actor. That got overshadowed. But no, you couldn't make a fucking shitty joke about Alec Baldwin murdering an innocent person by accident, and that's what you're upset about.
I even heard like some categories actually didn't even get aired. Like it was off screen that like those winners received the awards, believe it or not. And it was a good chunk of categories. Yeah, like editing, which I mean, and this is off of like my sister was watching a YouTube video who was like actually he was talking about like the Oscars, and like he even mentioned like how the fuck like do you have a movie without editing? Like how do you even have a movie without editing? And I have to like agree like that like and it's like a lot of the technical categories that didn't get the spotlight during the Oscars this year. And obviously everything else was like overshadowed because like Will Smith like slapped Chris Rock. So the slap heard around the world, and
It was the slap heard round the world.
And it's like, and it's a shame because I mean obviously everyone knows what the Oscars is. It's a self pat on the back fucking event for all these like twats like they who could like are so out of touch with the real world. And it's the reason why like I admire like a lot of the celebrities that managed to get out of Hollywood because they realize how much of a fucking cesspool of corruption and like low-key pedophilia it is. And Jim Carrey being like one of the few who me and David are going to be trying to go watch his the Sonic movie hopefully by next week. But it's
Look out for the bonus episode, D's Go to the Movies.
Yeah. And guys, keep an eye out for that. And it's also like everyone also remembered like how everyone was like even just saying like, oh, like people were coming out and even saying like, oh, Hollywood's like this and that, and like it's corrupt, it's disgusting from the inside out, and all those people got like shitted on by the very industry that they obviously were criticizing. I mean, which if you're part of that industry, like obviously, yeah, you're gonna like defend it because you're making your money off of that industry. But like the people who got like shitted on, like Brendan Fraser, and like
What happened to Brendan Fraser?
he got chewed up and spat out of fucking Hollywood after a couple movies, and I think if I remember, there was just like a lot of pressure on him because like he was coming off of like the two Mummy movies, which I know at least on certain critic websites, like they're not exactly the best, but I kind of grew up with them and I think they're fantastic movies. And I think he was also in George of the Jungle. So he like, from what I read, at least he got done dirty like by the end of his career, and
Wow.
he ended up like just I guess being like retired now, but he's like a bit fat now, and like he's kind of like, but he's at the same time like he's just chilling. Like obviously when you're in Hollywood, like you have a body to like maintain for the most part. Like everyone kind of like imagines like the Hollywood body, at least for a dude. And for a time he did have that around like the late 90s, but nowadays he's just kind of chunky, but at the same time he's just living his life. And I couldn't even be more happier for him, like in that respect. Like Jim Carrey's also like semi-retired now. Like I say semi because he still came back for the Sonic movie, so I mean he's still doing movies, I guess. But
And he's actually pretty fucking old. I think he's like 70.
Yeah, and he gets to pick and choose whatever the fuck he wants to do anyway. So because he's Jim Carrey, everyone knows who the fuck he is. So like I think obviously like to conclude, like it's just celebrity worship is just not healthy. And
Oh yeah, like you
Like-
can like what I did with Randy, like you can go off, be like, I told him how I discovered him. Like this is literally what I said to him, and it was so cute too because like he fucking like was looking at me and I was talking to Randy. I literally
Yeah.
was switching between talking to Randy and Heath. Like when I was like when I was looking in between them, and at one point he noticed I was talking right to him, so he stopped operating Randy for a second. Like he stopped making his mouth move, and I didn't want him to do that, so I turned back to Randy, and I got to touch his little purple face, and it was so soft and fuzzy. And he climbed on my back and took a picture. It was great. So I don't know.
I
'cause
saw
just
the pictures that David's talking about. If any of you are on our Twitter or even on Instagram, like I honestly thought, like, you know, it was really funny, like, because I operate the Instagram for the
Yeah.
most part, but like I saw those photos and I liked it, like, as the podcast's Instagram. I liked it. It's like, oh, I liked my own photos because I was like, I mean, for the most part, I guess people,
because you didn't post it, so it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just like saw it. Like,
but it was just like
online.
inherently, I was just kind of like, ah, shit, like, you know, this is like one of the few Instagram posts that I actually like. So like I pressed like heart because I liked it, and I know like how, you know, kind of narcissistic it is to like your own post, but I'm like, fuck you guys. Like in my brain, like, I don't care if you think that. Like
the guy I went to go see him with.
but actually, David, I wanted to ask.
Nintendos.
I
But
wanted
yeah,
to,
I didn't fangirl so hard to the point where I made him uncomfortable. You know, like I just I literally told him, like, I discovered you through YouTube, if this helps you. Since I was just, you know, an American, he's from Australia, so I wanted to know, like, how, like, his American fans discovered him through YouTube, as you could probably imagine. And I told him I'd never watched any of his specials before, and multiple ones of his videos just kept getting recommended to me. I straight up told him, like, yo, dude, the algorithm straight up, like, told me, you are gonna like this guy. And then eventually I was like, fine, like, you know, I'll watch one of his videos, and then I just told him I never went back. And he was like, you saw me through YouTube? Yes! Yes! Like, that's what I'm happy to hear. And just to let him know that, I'm like, yeah, I'll follow you on Instagram. He's like, please do. I hope I can send him a message and he messages back. Like, I didn't do shit like that. You know what I mean?
did you get
and
like no autograph, no nothing like that?
I didn't get an autograph, but I got pictures. Glenn got pictures with him. I got pictures with him. I got pictures with me and Glenn with him and stuff like that. So I didn't get an autograph. No, I guess I didn't think about that because I don't have like an autograph book or anything
That's
like
fair,
that.
yeah.
I don't do that. Like,
That's
who
the
goes
kind-
around? Who
that's a
goes
bit-
around carrying that shit
It's
anymore?
a bit cringe, yeah. I guess nowadays, like especially autographs, I feel as if like the best autograph nowadays is like the picture.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel.
just my profile pic on like
Yeah.
everything now, bro.
I
Are
almost-
you kidding?
I almost feel as if autographs are also worthless now, like compared to how they were before. Just because at least like social media wise, like, you know, if you want proof that, oh, I met this guy, well, there's the photo on my Instagram right there.
And that's not even proof anymore. Like, there's more autographs that are sent out to people through OnlyFans girls that you have to pay for to get than anything else, rather than just like meeting a celebrity or some shit. Like, I feel like asking for autographs is low-key kind of an outdated thing. People just get pictures now and then they can post it on their social.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, that's better than the autograph. You know what I mean? Unless you think an autograph would be worth money one day or something like that. But
I'll turn
who
this-
cares about that?
I'll turn this autograph into an NFT. Like there's probably those types out there too.
And then Randy fucking sues us and everything because we put him on the blockchain and shit. But you had a question?
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask, like, when you got to the comedy club, right? Like, what was the atmosphere like? Was like,
I mean, it was like literally just an like a little mini like mess hall looking big like showroom with a very tiny like set up stage on it for Randy to put his little scrotal neck on. And it was just like, you know, like little classy neon lighting, like a hotel lobby. It was like it was just like one of like the conference rooms that was right inside like the hotel lobby. So it wasn't like a dedicated just comedy club place. It was a comedy club that was inside the Renaissance Hotel.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
literally we went in, like we took one turn and there he was just taking pictures with people. And I was sending pictures to my friend Felicia, and I was just like with his little purple head appearing over the crowd. And I was just like, yo, can you see him? And we were both fangirling in the chat of him because she loves Randy now because of me. Like we
okay.
watched Randy Buys a Bookshelf off Gumtree, which is one of the best stand-up comedy bits I've ever seen in my life. If you have a free 20 plus minutes, please listen to that. That story is a fucking journey, to say the least. But yeah, that's what the atmosphere was like. It was chill. There were servers, you know, they brought us some chicken tendies and fries. I got a beer, you know, just kick back, you know, like everybody was there to, like, you know, see the guy. We were talking about when he was going to take pictures, if he's going to take pictures, how do you know Randy, this and that. Just all around really good vibes. You know, no hecklers or nothing like that. It was a pretty medium to smaller sized crowd because it was just part one of his stops on the tour. And he was doing 3 shows there. He did 2 that day, and then he did 1 the day before. And then there's a little podium. He himself was, like, a lot bigger in person than I thought. Not Heath. He was small. Fucking Randy. Randy himself was a lot bigger of a puppet in person than you would think. The screen has, I guess, a way of making it, like, not seem too big. And you could tell it was a sizable puppet, but at the same time, like, seeing it up close, man, it was just so fucking lifelike. Like, in between, it was such a surreal experience. Even, like, looking back and seeing how he operated Randy, which I'm not gonna go into too much detail on. I don't want to be that guy. It literally... Heath MacIver is such a fucking phenomenal puppeteer, man. Like, he literally made you fucking forget it's a puppet, but, like, still feel the magic that it was. You know what I mean? It just, like, felt like you're watching a very, like, special stand-up comedy in a sort of Sesame Street-ish kind of way. It was like, I've seen bad puppet comedians before where the puppeteering isn't even good because they're just like blah, 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 like they're, like, moving the mouth too fast. Yeah. Or, like, the voice just doesn't match how the puppet would look, among other things. Or sometimes, in some cases, the puppet is just straight up ugly. Like, my friend sent me one of this, like, one stand-up comic of a puppet comic venting about how he wants to go, like, one day without living through a major historical event, and he was playing the puppet drunk, like he had a beer in his hand or something. And it was just, like, this weird, like, toucan looking thing with just too many, like, with so many colors on it. It looked like something that was more so, like, designed for kids, but there was just way too much going on with it to the point where, besides the bad puppeteering, it was also distracting. Randy's design is way simpler, and that adds to the immersion because it becomes, like, a little more imaginative that way, and it's less distracting from his actual material. I wasn't thinking about what the other guy was actually saying, because, like, the puppet was just so distracting and ugly, and it just had way too much going on with it. And the fact that it was, like, this unhuman-like bird with this, like, human-sounding voice, it literally sounded like I was watching some weird alternative, like, shitty Adult Swim edgy version of Sesame Street, rather than the fact that I'm watching an individual come up here and show us his humor and be a monologuist and tell us his thoughts. Randy, not only his puppet design is way more simpler, it's so high energy and animated to the point where that alone made it so much more immersive. My friend Glenn, who is a stand-up comic, went with me, and he himself was very iffy on, like, puppet comics, but he, swear to God, laughed even harder than me at some points. He had, like, just as good of a time as I did, Glenn did. And he's like, that was amazing. He was absolutely hysterical. I'm just like, he's so high energy, too, which is so hard for other comics to keep. Probably because Heath is just, like, you know, on his hind legs and his knees behind the podium the whole time. Doesn't have to stand up and move around, which is probably part of why he gets to keep that energy going so much. So all of that, the fact that he's able to take us on such journeys as a monologuist, as well as just be a genuinely, like, funny stand-up, rather than people like Amy Schumer, who the media literally tells us is supposed to be funny. We're supposed to find this
But we
funny.
know better.
Please, but we fucking know better. Yeah. The fact that he does all of that while fully operating a puppet, which, again, I saw in the corner of my eye the way he does. It was amazing. It was just incredible. He's such an underrated talent, and I honestly am curious to see... I just wonder if he was just from America, how his career would have been. I felt like it would have gone a lot differently because Australian audiences can be different. Because even watching him on, like, Good News World, like, him and Sammy J, they stole that show. It unfortunately only lasted 1 season, but, like, they were the best part of the show. They had, like, multiple bits on it that it was just the two of them. There was the backbenchers, the backbenchers where they played, like, these shitty fucking members of, like, the parliament of, like, the Australian parliament who are just on the backbench, like, talking to each other about nonsensical shit, like, while the meetings are going on and stuff. Another one where there was a sitcom of the two of them living in a house together. They stole the show completely, like, to the point where, like, you didn't even care too much about the other stuff, I guess. Maybe because I didn't watch the whole thing, I don't know. But that's how it's from Australia. I would need, like, a VPN or some shit, probably, unless it's all on YouTube.
We're sponsored by NordVPN, guys.
With NordVPN, guys.
I actually have NordVPN. I've been using it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've been going across the seas to watch Netflix from Korea.
Nice.
So, yeah, if anything, though, I think one last bit, just about comedians, I guess, for a little bit. It's just, I think, for the reason why that we like the guys that we love, like Bill Burr, and then also for David, like Randy Feltface, and even like for all the other ones that we also like have a deep appreciation for. It's because they're genuine people. Like they don't like for the most part, like I mean, for Randy's case,
talk to Heath. He was the same guy.
Yeah, for like Heath especially, like don't know nothing about you, Heath, and if you if you decided one day because you were drunk and you decided I'm gonna listen to that guy, that tall motherfucker's podcast just to see like how it is if you ever find us, like I could tell that you have a very genuine like love and respect for puppeteering, and is the reason why that you do it so well, or at the very least is the reason why that your number one fan over here loves to talk you up, and like and it kind of like at least paints a picture for me that like you have a very deep appreciation for the art of it. And also
I'm a big
obviously
fandy of my Mandy Randy, and therefore we have no choice but to standy.
And for also comedy. And in the case of also like guys that I know like Bill,
there will be no Randy Slandy in my Christian Chandy.
And also for me, like with how I love Bill, I think it just goes to show like that the reason like everyone sort of looks for like I guess genuineness, if that even makes sense, when it comes to a lot of like at least the people that we admire and respect. And I mean, if people have like a bit of a bit of a mask that they put on, like obviously like when we were growing up, especially for me, like me watching WWE, like I always thought like obviously as kids we thought like, oh, The Rock acts like that everywhere that he goes, and no, he does not, obviously. And when you meet obviously the real people, like I think what the fuck was it, I had a bit more respect for this guy when I saw like this one little interview that he did a while back. Dave Bautista, if anyone remembers him, he plays the blue guy in Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't think of his name right now, but like the big buff blue guy. And he actually went on interview and got asked like, oh, would you ever do WWE again? And I think for a lot of those wrestlers, even Hulk Hogan has gone on and said like, oh, like I would never go back and do it. Like
Drax.
Because Drax, yeah, there we go. And
Drax, yeah.
Like, and the reason being obviously is because like, you're putting your body through some crazy physical pain, like on WWE, like depending on what you're doing, especially like everyone remembers like Mankind and Hell in the Cell, and like him falling through the fucking steel cage was actually not scripted, and he actually did fall through the fucking cage. So like a little bit of history there for anyone who remembers. But in the sense like for genuineness, like obviously like when you see like I think when people don't have a mask, and then when people do have a mask and like they actually take it off and like you kind of see like the real them, it's refreshing in a way, because like obviously like when you're in Hollywood you have appearances to keep for the most part, but like there's a couple of them out there that at the very least like I don't really like, I admire, I respect them at the very least of what they do, but like I also respect them in a way for like the genuineness that they at least like have, because Bill has never changed since the beginning to the end, like, or even like presently, like where he's at right now. He's the same guy that he's been for the last like let's say 20 something years, just the same angry sounding, at least, like Bostonian who like now lives in California. And for even Randy and like the few of the material that David has sent me, which is some funny shit. And I think I also kind of envy Australians in that respect, because they can say shit that we can't get away with over here. Like we'd be censored to death before we got away with saying
we already are.
Yeah, with saying the F word with as many times as we want, at least compared to over there. And even cunt as the way they say it over there. Like we can't nearly say it as often as they do, like without having the FCC on our ass. So like I envy
you, Federal Communications Minister Stephen Conroy.
And I
if he still is, I don't know. If
he's maybe I don't know. I haven't.
Who knows? Who cares? It doesn't matter.
So like at least for that, yeah, like I do have nothing but respect. Like I think, like it. Yeah, I think just in conclusion, like the reason why that we love the people that like we watch on TV, whether it be through comedians or even actors, is just because of how genuine they are.
And I'm gonna fucking go out on a limb here and talk about, like, to add on to Dennis's point real quick, and cut him off as rudely as possible. As I
already
can tell
finished
from
my
the look
thoughts,
on
so
his
fuck
face.
yourself.
It's not. Later, and later. I said later.
I fuck you. Now I'm cutting you off. See how you like them apples, fucker. Continue.
Cut off that dick in my ass.
Hey, go.
I know who you are, David. Or should I say,
David,
David.
You would be someone's prison bitch.
I
Like,
would
honestly.
I've said that multiple times. I have a friend who was from the hood, like growing up when he was younger. He like was involved in some bad people, so he even looked at me and he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yeah, I know I would. It's the only way a guy like me would survive." So that's actually why
True.
going to prison is one of my biggest fears, among other things.
So do your taxes, guys.
Just do your taxes. Do your taxes. Don't be a fucking Yoshi and do your taxes.
But oh yeah, David,
Love
go
that
ahead.
meme. We're just gonna go out on a limb here and just make sure you all know it is not just women comics. I think women comics suffer the worst from it because it's literally people like Amy Schumer who get like fucking propped up to be like the staple one for that. And I know there's a lot of female comics who hate that. Kind of the same thing. Like I believe even a friend of mine, Jessica, who has gone off and she's literally vented about how Scarlett Johansson is like really overly cast. Like she's in every fucking movie. Like there's other actresses in
I
Hollywood.
agree.
But this is who like Hollywood decided should be the poster child for women. You know what I mean? It's the same thing for Amy Schumer for female comics. But just to let you know, it's not just women comics who like you think, oh, the media is telling us we should find funny. It's Jimmy fucking Fallon.
Them types. Yeah.
Jimmy fucking Jimmy Fallon is holy shit. He is the perfect fucking example of like fucking brainwashed American citizens, bro. The fact that the fucking establishment was somehow able to convince a good chunk of Americans that he's funny is asinine. Because he is the worst. He is the fucking worst. And even Smiling Friends made fun of him. You know, hold up, Dennis. Hold up, Dennis. Like, what was the fucking game that you wanted to talk about? Like, for the podcast you said today?
GTA.
Dude, so tell me about like GTA. That's Fallon. He tries to overhype every single goddamn interaction just to try to create a viral clip because they think hysterical laughter is how you do that. Jimmy Fallon is literally just a shitty fucking Smash commentator who like overhypes every single interaction between the two players just because he wants to be on a Twitch clip. Just because he wants to be on the Twitch highlight reel for VGBC. Tries to like force hype moments instead of just creating them organically when they fucking happen. And that's the kind of people that the media tells us we should like. That's why I fucking love like these Australian guys. Because they don't do any of that shit. Or they're just actually fucking talented. They're just actually funny. And not to say that Jimmy Fallon isn't talented. He's a good musician. I'm sure he was a decent improviser besides the fact that he laughs in every sketch, so he actually sucks. But everything else about him is just what they fucking turned him into is awful. And I'm not even saying all this just because he's into fucking NFTs. I don't give a shit about that. But it doesn't surprise me considering, you know, Fallon. You see the point I'm trying to make, though. It's like... And like I'm not even going on a limb here and saying, oh, you just hate Amy Schumer because this is the straw man argument. You just hate Amy Schumer because she's a female comic and she's successful, and that's why you don't like her. No, it's because I don't think she's funny at all, and the media constantly tells us that we should think she's funny, and if we don't, it just means we're sexist. Like, her shit is tasteless.
Yeah.
Like, if you've read that Alec Baldwin joke, like, she was going off about how the fucking Will Smith slap fucking traumatized her, and then she's willing to completely shit on that family's trauma that they're still suffering for their fucking daughter, their mom, that got shot by accident and killed in the middle of a desert over something like that. It's not, like, the joke wasn't even put together well. I don't even know if that's the way that just that Twitter account did it or something, but no. I hate that straw man argument that people just don't like Amy Schumer because she's a woman. That's not the case at all. It's because I think she sucks. Like,
simple as that. It's really
it's the idea of Amy Schumer that the media tries to force down your throat as something we should find funny because like it's progressive and you're not progressive for not thinking that. No, there's female comics that I like and that I think are genuinely funny that don't get nearly enough of the fucking recognition that they deserved. And again, you can talk to Jess about that as well because there are never enough like females on the lineups for some of the shows that she does. God bless her soul. She's got bigger balls than me for being able to just go out in front of people and like tell jokes and shit. That's already scary enough as it is. But fuck me, man. I just, the whole thing just like tickles my asshole in all the wrong ways.
And on that note, I think the way we can just at least conclude that whole thing is just, at least for me, the only female comedians that I know are the ones that I hate. It's like, and I really don't know what to say to that myself. Like, it's just because like these are the ones that like are being constantly pushed to me through YouTube, believe it or not, specifically like that, because the algorithm thinks, oh, you'll find them funny, and I'm like, nope.
I mean, hey, the
Not
algorithm
really.
told me I would love Randy, and it worked. Worked like a fucking charm.
It's 1 out of 10 though, that the algorithm actually gives you something that you actually like though, believe it or not. At least to me, considering like, you know, the algorithm is still only basically going off of what it sees you watching. So it's like, oh, maybe something similar to this. Like maybe you'll like this, maybe you'll like that. And you know, again, sometimes I'll say like, again, sometimes yeah, like it can give me something that like I'm like, oh shit, like, oh, like good job algorithm. Like, you know, like what you sent me was pretty good. Like it was pretty funny. And a lot of times I'm just like, fuck off. Like I can't tell you how many times that like I literally go to the right side of a video and say do not recommend like ever again. Like just because of how like shit it was and how much of a shit recommendation it is. And I mean obviously the algorithm's always like constantly changing and it's being constantly improved upon, but you know, like yeah, some people yeah, like are just genuinely funny, and that's like the word that I used specifically, genuine, because that's what we're looking for nowadays. And at least, you know, people who are genuine themselves. So if you're not, dude, you have something even far bigger to figure out, my friend. But
yeah, comedy is hard.
yeah, and going off of that, I guess this is not really much of a segue, but it was something that I at least wanted to talk about before we ended today's episode. And
Right.
it was from my...
Keep in mind, we're at an hour 2 right now.
So so I'm gonna at least just talk about this a little bit, because it's something that I feel as if like it was a bit of a revelation for me, and even the thought of more money did not even change my mind like at all. And so basically, yeah, guys, I've been on the job hunt for like at least about a couple months now at this point, and it was only until last week that I found something, and it's essentially I don't know like if I doubt the company that I'm going to be working for next week is going to listen to this, but not going to mention them by name. But the company that I'm working with right now, the position that they gave me was a completely remote role, working mostly in customer and technical support. And yeah, it's completely remote, and plus no phones, like don't need to call nobody, and it's all just chat based. And this also, I guess just to preface this, it was not the only position that I got an offer for. I got offers, I think, from plenty of other places as well. And there was even other places that were even offering more money than this one. But I really thought of it in my head, and just because I've worked in a sort of semi-office setting, in a warehouse setting, I've worked in several types of like kind of work environments, and I have to say that I hated every single one of them. I hated every single fucking one of them. And I think it also just stemmed from the fact that like now that like my career path is going more towards tech, and I actually even talked to my cousin about this. I actually went to go see him yesterday, and we talked a bit, and we were even saying that like working from 9 to 5 plus even the commute and everything else is just such horseshit nowadays. Like it really also depends on like what you're working in. So like if you're working in tech, then you can obviously like sort of kind of, you know, finagle your like some negotiations, and just at least, you know, there's even like at the very least, if you're working in tech, there are more remote opportunities for you if you don't want to be working in the office. And he was even telling me that there was some guys that he heard from that they went on publicly and said that I like CEOs of companies, and they even said that I never want to go to the office again. I never want to go into it again. And obviously these guys aren't like the majority of like, you know, like the sort of big time companies, because like all the big time, like especially FANG, they're all like trying to get people back into the office, like so one way or another. And they obviously clearly don't care, or they don't really like agree with remote work environments. And obviously these guys are just, you know, big time like micromanagers, and they want to just have everyone back into the office, and like because they feel as if like, oh, like they feel as if obviously productivity is like better when everyone is together like in the same like setting.
Right.
And I think in my opinion,
it's a control thing too.
it's a control thing. It's like I really wish a lot of them would just be fucking real and just like not say like, oh, it's for productivity's sake, and just because they would, if they just said that I prefer a on-site work environment, then I would kind of give them less shit, because I know for a fact like they want to say, oh yeah, it's because I want them in the office because I want to see what they're doing. If they just said that like flat out, then I would be like a little less critical of them, because it's like, all right, well, you know, you're the head of the company, so it's like, the fuck am I gonna say? But obviously, you know, for the most part, CEOs can never be genuine like in public or even off the record. So like, and it kind of made me even realize like, you know, because one, this was like this remote opportunity that I'm taking is one that I've been looking for a long time now, and I even thought to myself that like I don't think like I would ever want to go back into like another office setting. Like that whole fucking shit can go fuck itself like to death, honestly, with a stick, mind you. And the reason why I'm saying it too, and then people, if there are people who out there who, let's say, do prefer going into the office, right? Then, you know, I got nothing to say to you, because like, you know, at the very least, like if that is what you like prefer, then, you know, fine. But I'm just saying though, like the very fact that a lot of places nowadays, like they had the choice during COVID, but once COVID essentially like, you know, winded down, they all wanted just everyone to come back in. And, you know, it's because they only did the remote thing because of guidelines, and not to mention like, oh, like it's just like the pandemic's like as strong as it possibly can, right? Is as strong as it possibly is like right now outside. So like, you know, we have to like protect ourselves. So yeah, like we'll just be working remotely. But obviously there's a good chunk of companies out there that all essentially realize like, oh, coming in is stupid. Like taking that bus and train, paying like whatever the fuck amount that you're paying for commute fees just to get into, let's say, the city, which is where most of like the jobs that I think a lot of New Jerseyans like have like are like in the city.
I'm interviewing for a job in the city soon.
Yeah. And like we're gonna go back to you, David, on that. But all I want to say is that like, you know, they all like want them to come in, and it's just like, you know, what is the incentive? Honestly, like for a lot of people that like commute commute twice, mind you, 4 times in one day, because you need to take the bus and the train to get into the city and going to where you have to go. You have to commute 4 times like every day just to get in.
Yeah.
So like, what are the incentives of me to going in there? Because I'm paying out of my ass just to like fucking go there. And I mean, there are places out there like companies who do reimburse you for your commute, for your commuting fare. So I mean, if you're a part of like a company like that, then like, you know, good on you. But I still think that the very fact that they don't even give you the choice is horseshit, because a lot of companies, and I guess like, you know, I'm not saying that all because all these companies realize that everyone else should follow, but I'm saying that, you know, a good chunk of them all realize that, yeah, like, you know, coming into the office is horseshit. And the very fact that, you know, there are plenty of places that I even heard productivity like has been up ever since they moved to remote. So people even like obviously work better in an environment that they prefer, obviously. And in the case of, let's say, working from your own home, like what other better environment is there? Unless your home environment like is like kind of a little bit on the shitty side, like, and if that is the case, then, you know, sorry, but it's I think for me, yeah, it all just comes down to the fact that they don't even give them the choice to do so, which is why like I feel as if like in the future as well, like, you know, and since I'm going to be going into tech in the future, like work in the office can go fuck itself, honestly. Like I hate it. Like I hate driving anywhere just to fucking go and deal with shitty people for fucking 8 hours and then coming back and then rinse and repeat the same thing the next day.
I feel you.
Fuck it.
Maybe it's because like I haven't really had a job like in an office setting like that. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't like it, just knowing myself. I feel like I know I wouldn't really be able to keep that pace up if I tried. And I don't know the details of my my interview stuff yet, but I'm not going to talk about that. That's you know, it's why there's initial interviews and whatever.
Personal.
But it's personal. Just sales assistant stuff. When the pandemic started, everybody was saying that, how they never wanted to go back to the office, and I guess it was a very privileged opinion of me to say that I didn't want that because I didn't understand it. You know, like, all I wanted to do was leave the house at the time. I was getting over a breakup. I'm like, I couldn't see my friends or anything. Like, I just felt like trapped in a fucking cage for like a year. And, for the better part of a few months at the very least. But, I don't know. I'm different because I don't want to be at home all the time, because then my home becomes that place that like I associate with work, among other things. And more than anything, it just becomes the place I completely associate with life. I don't want to do every single thing that I do in one place. I would get so unfucking believably sick of being in my room all the time for something like work, for something like a job. I get that, like, you know, the whole incentive thing about, like, oh, it's bullshit because I'm paying out of pocket for, like, the travel or gas fees and all this kinds of stuff. And, yeah, that's part of, like, the unfortunate workplace culture of America that requires you to really, like, do some of this stuff to just go and work for the man or whatever. Some jobs, and a lot of jobs, are offering and promising, sometimes, you know, lying, saying that they'll offer certain things or like these big like hiring bonuses or whatever to try to get people to come on. Ever since the Great Resignation, but I don't know. I feel like if I'm just stuck in like the same room all the time, constantly, more so than I already am for the stuff that I do, I feel like I would just get so sick of it. But if you like what you do enough, like the podcast, for instance, you like it enough, and
this is remote work right now.
Yeah,
what we're doing.
And I'm not thinking about it. Me personally, though, like a remote like office job or whatever, or just like I'm just filling in data in my thing, and it's just like, yeah, people would like that because then they could listen to YouTube videos and stuff on the side,
or even play games, literally as like
exactly.
And
which, let's be real, that's got to be part of the reason some of these fuckers want it too. But I'm not ignorant. I do understand like the whole like incentive aspect of even wanting to do that beyond, you know, like the whole virus thing, which I feel like some people use as a scapegoat and some not. But me personally, it would depend on the workplace environment, my friend. If it's a healthy, fun workplace environment where I get to see people I like and it's not like gray everywhere, I'm stuck in a fucking cubicle, like looking to see like how high the ceiling fan is up there, if I can get my 6'5" ass and my giant scrotal neck through it so I can kill myself at the end of the day like I have at the bottom of my to-do list planner, my agenda on the side of the board, then yeah, fuck that. I don't want to do that. Even if it's a job that would like pay a lot of money, you know, like I couldn't keep that pace up if I tried. Not to mention the whole like fucking like workplace attitude kind of thing. Like, yeah, guess what? You can't say anything inappropriate, remotely inappropriate, for like 8 hours a day for the rest of your life until you're too old to enjoy any of the money that you made. Like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not being ignorant here. I'm like, I think that way of life is just stupid. Like, I'm more of a creative. I've always known that about myself. It's just being stuck in the same room all day. That's the only thing. I would have to really like my job, Dennis, in order to do that.
And I'm also go on to say that for anyone who is in the workforce right now, no matter where you're working, even if you're getting paid 6 figures, leave when your shift is fucking over. Do not let them fucking say, oh yeah, like we have some shit. No. I'm leaving at 5 because my schedule says I leave at 5. I'm leaving at 5, and there is nothing you could fucking do about it. Literally just walk out. Like, you work for 8 hours, and that's it. As soon as it hits 8, fucking go. Leave. Don't even look back. Don't even look at your work phone that maybe some of y'all even have gotten from your company. Don't even look at it. Just fucking. Like, just go home and enjoy yourself. Life is way too short to give a fuck about any of these companies right now. Even in the far future, fuck it. And it was another thing that, me and my cousin, we were talking about before, and that, like, some people have stayed at certain companies for so fucking long because, like, you know, they have, like, this really naive view of, like, company loyalty. And I'm going to tell you right now, company loyalty is dead. It's been dead for a long fucking time. They don't view people. To be fair, like most companies nowadays never view people as people. View them as fucking numbers on a ledger, or nowadays numbers on an Excel spreadsheet. And we talked about this before, like in a couple episodes way back, but you know, like, dude, like put in your first year or 2 years and hop to another job where the bag is bigger. Like keep doing that until like you have a bigger like bag that you're going to take with you. Like that's the incentive I will tell you at the very least. Like, you know, when it comes to like job hunting nowadays, go where the bag is and do not give a fuck about company loyalty.
Yeah.
It does not matter in the long grand scheme of things. Like you can suck their dick as much as you want under that table. It will not get you that promotion. It will not get you that senior position.
Yep.
It will do nothing in the end. You will still have the same shit's pay that you've had for the last 15 years, let's say. And because you thought like, oh, like, you know, they'll appreciate me. No, they don't appreciate. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a damn about you. And I just got interrupted by a twat on the other side of this fucking call. And so my whole conclusion is that, yeah, like for one, again, like don't ever, like for all you young guys especially, like don't go into the fucking workforce thinking that, oh, like I'm gonna put in a good job. No. Because you'll get burned like everyone else has in this country. You will get burned for that way of thinking. You will get burned for thinking that, oh, like if I pour in the hours, if I pour even more hours past, like, let's say whatever I'm prescribed to work for, that, oh, I'll get appreciated, I'll get noticed, I'll get recognition. You will get dick by the end of the day. You can do everything right in certain companies and you will get dick in the end.
Can I say that does depend on like the line of work, and I do think it's true in most instances.
Like what then?
Like retail is the biggest one for sure.
You'll get nothing.
If you are bad at your retail job, you get fired or you get less hours or they punish you. If you are good at your retail job, they exploit you.
They
exploit you by like asking you to stay or
whatever, can you cover these hours for this employee? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you cover him? Can you cover her? Yeah. The recognition doesn't bring like respect. It brings basically that, oh, you're a bitch and I could bend you over backwards and you'll actually take this dick because you like it. Yep. It's horseshit in the end. Really.
I think it depends on the kind. You're right. It's just.
It could also depend on what kind of manager you have too. Sometimes, like, I know for a fact, like a lot of people who become managers, they did it like because that, oh, I've been in that position. I've been fucked over before.
They want to be the manager that their manager never was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like there are those too, but I'm saying though, like, look, stuff like that in the end, like especially with how much like more expensive everything is becoming. And I don't know how many of tens of you like are like entering the workforce or what your jobs are at or anything. So if you want, like, let me know down in the comments. Like I'll read them. But like I think, yeah, like I'm getting to that age too where it's like, dude, working hard is horseshit, man. Working harder than whatever hours you're prescribed is horseshit. Because you get nothing out of it in the end. Because managers, and especially even like, you know, let's say even big time CEOs, they couldn't give a fuck about you. You could die in a car crash and they'll not give a shit. They're not going to attend your funeral. They barely even know who you are. Even your managers too, they don't give a fuck about you. Unless they do, then yeah, sure, fine. Like you're good friends with your managers. You respect them, they respect you, then that's a good relationship that you have. And that's something that's very rare nowadays. Yeah. You don't see that often, at least in this country. You do not see that often. I'll tell you that much. And they view us, yeah, like, you know.
I'm looking at our anti-work right now.
I think, yeah, at least, you know, for me, like how I felt about it, it's just like, you know, you can do everything right. Like I said before, you can do everything right. Like for our parents, maybe that was the case. Like they worked hard, they stuck around in a place for so long, and like, you know, yeah, eventually they did make a partner or like, you know, got a senior position and stuff. Like, yeah, that happened a lot back in the day. It doesn't really happen that often nowadays. And I think it just goes to show you, it's the reason why, like, dude, in the end, it's all a game. And you got to play it well. And you have to also know that, let's say, your managers or even like the people you work for, they're not your friend. Don't believe in this bullshit that they all say where it's like, oh, we're a family here. No, you're not. I don't even know half of you. I don't even know half of your names. I don't even know what you do. What do you do, Randy? Huh? The fuck do you do?
He's a puppet stand-up.
Sorry, Randy was just like the first name that came to mind. But but David, you know what I mean as well, right?
Well,
like,
sometimes your coworkers become people like family. Like I've grown really close to the ones I have here.
And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm just saying though, at least it's just like for the most part, like you gotta look out for yourself though. Like, especially
you just gotta recognize like when like you're being treated unfairly.
Yeah.
And not like do some shit under the gauze of like, oh, can you come in today? Like it's the manager's job to like find somebody to like cover your shifts and stuff like that, even though it leaves them shorthanded or whatever. They're the ones who didn't hire enough people or like make like plans for these kinds of things or whatever. And yeah, calling out short notice can be one thing, but what if you're actually sick? What if you have an emergency? I'm so sad that the pandemic did not change the fucking workplace culture that America already has. That was my biggest hope at the beginning of it. That like, hey, after the pandemic is over, it becomes endemic. Maybe like, we'll take like sick leaves and sick days more seriously. Nope. No, there are a lot of companies just still don't fucking give a shit. And again, that depends on the level of the job. Again, it's just retail jobs and like, shit like that. Where like you call out, like...
I don't even think
I know of some retail jobs that like... I know of some retail jobs that I've had friends work at that literally write you up if you call out on the weekends.
And those places can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, it's just like stuff like that. It's.
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't have anything.
No, I think. It's just. I'll just end it on this. Like, I also personally feel like it doesn't really matter on the job because, at the end of the day, yeah, like they don't like these companies don't view people as people. They're not. You're not people to them. Again, you're numbers, and they could remove and delete you whenever the fuck they want. And I just take it in stride and say, if that's the way it is, then fuck. Then I'll just go wherever the bag is. Like that's what I think everyone should do nowadays. Because I'll reiterate again. Yeah, company loyalty is dead. It's been dead for a long time. It was only until recently that a lot of people started to realize it.
Yeah. I'm not holding enough to be salty, but my last job definitely taught me that, like, company loyalty can be that way. I still think it depends on, like, the line of work or the job, like, depending on what the workplace culture is. I guess, like, maybe esports, like, sponsorships or, like, teams can be a little different, even though I still think that's sort of the same thing as work is at the same time. I don't know. I don't know, the whole thing, because I agree with you for the most part, Dennis. It's just, like, you shouldn't put your company before, like, other
your
things
own life.
in your life. Because as far as we know, we got one life to live. And if you spend the whole time just, like, making, like, rich people richer, while not even, like, making your life situation that much better for you, sometimes, you gotta, like, shoot better than just fucking, like, just getting by. Sometimes you gotta do more than that. You gotta look out for yourself every now and again. So any good management or good bosses will understand that rather than be like hateful or salty towards you or something like that when you leave a place, which is just dumb petty shit. But yeah, if you want to hear more of like this kind of conversation, just go on r/anti-work because that's what I'm looking at right now.
And chances are, this isn't the last time we'll be talking about it, but like subscribe if you're a new listener to hear these two idiots talk about many things that is kind of out of their depth. But yeah, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here today. Kind of went a little deep on a lot of things today, but I think overall, yeah, David, I think it was a good episode. Don't you agree? Meh. But yeah, guys, we're gonna here's all our socials and shit right here. You can go and follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Not Facebook because Facebook is gay.
At the Double D Experience 21, by the way, on Instagram and on Twitter at Double D Pod. I need to make another screen for the socials. I keep forgetting to do that. Maybe I'll do that today. I don't know.
Okay. And yeah, obviously Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify as well, and all the other affiliate links that we'll have down there. So yeah, guys, thanks for listening to us and hear us get a little heated about certain things. We get a little, like we said, we deal with feelings on this show, not facts. So we
and who controls their feelings better than adult men? Am I right? They're the most emotionally sound people.
But yeah, guys, this was our episode for today. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna lights off. David, close us out, please.
We Standy are Mandy Randy, and therefore we are big fandies of our Mandy Randy, and therefore we have no choice but to standy, and there will be no Randy Slandy in our Christian chandy.
Lights off. Show us your tits.
Well, you've got to at least make promoting the charity entertaining. How do I do that? Show us your tits! And you could donate to Oxfam Australia by either by going online to their website at www.oxfamaustralia.gov.org or by calling the number on my tits.
Yes!
Yes!
Lights off.